A revolutionary. Say whoa. Trap revolutionary. Got the wave of too scary. Doing this thing like Malcolm ain't by any means necessary. We ain't got it by no one seen hand. We got the master plan. Get the movement going on. Right here where we stand, man. We bucking and stumping, fist pumping. Even though they tried to set us up for failure and kill us, we keep on coming. That's why somebody gotta step up and say something about the bullshit. Because if not, the blind gon' keep leading.
Going on, y'all. Want to get on here and make this video. Talk about actually expound on something I was talking about in a prior video regarding Trump and dealing with the country and everything. How everything is going right now. It's a lot of it's a lot of division. That's the best way to put it. It's a lot of division going on, right? So, in my analysis of everything, I was saying to myself how much better it would be if we was all putting together. You know what I'm saying? And the things that have been done, it's been done. You can't change it, right? But what we can do, this is me. What we can do moving forward is try to move together as one, right? And that is, just strengthen us all together, here in this nation, right? Because, we have our own, separate groups, right? People associate with each other. You have, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, they're going to live in neighborhoods, black, our people, black people going to live in neighborhoods, that's, unique to them or, in the area that, they're comfortable living in with each other. White people live amongst each other, so, and I don't say it's anything wrong with it. It's just, hey, that's just, what we usually, people end up usually staying in proximity and staying near in areas with people that look like them. I don't see nothing wrong with that, right? But, I think where the problem come in at is where we are all divided, so many different things, instead of being like, hey, let's try to help each other, instead of harming each other and like, blocking each other out or keeping it, keeping people from certain, economic advantages, economic, prosperity, from being upwardly mobile, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's, how I would say it. Like, how can we get to operating as one people? Even though, yeah, we are separate groups, ethnic groups, right? But how can we operate as one people to make the whole nation strong? Because what I would say is that we would do better by doing that instead of being divided and, it's always a black and white issue or somebody saying something about, this person or that person, black or white or, Hispanic or whatever, Asian or whatever. It's got to be it's always some type of division. So I know if we get to where we are operating, as one people and trying to move forward in that sense, we'll just be stronger and we'll be able to do better, because as black people, we know our group is over incarcerated. Our percentages, our numbers are overly exaggerated in the penal system, and, that's pretty much like human resource capital that's just gone. When that potential, that human capital could be benefiting society overall instead of us being looked at as fodder. And this is basically what it is. Even if you know about the, prison to school school to prison pipeline, where they test young boys, the test, it started early as third grade to see, who's testing well and who's not, and who's most likely out of that, those third graders, those like young kids to go to prison. So, stuff like that. It's like it's uncalled for, instead of looking at it like, okay, how can we use, our people that may be, economically disadvantaged or whatever, how can we use them? How can we get them out of that, from being in that particular circumstance or, being in that particular category? How can we get them to be up out of that or lift them up out of that so they can do better for society as a whole? So, that's what I would say, man. It's like, I think that's what we need to, we could get better at, what I'm saying? And even me though, like I said, I can't, I'm not here to preach, because I ain't had some snag. I didn't hit a major snag, what I'm saying? Here or whatever, with my job, what I'm saying? So, I ran into a situation with that, what I'm saying? So now I'm pretty much like, hey, I got to get out here and get it. I got to make these businesses work for me, and better for me so I can create, my own sources, income, which I already had, businesses going. But it's got to be to where it's going to, actually sustain me. You know what I mean? So now, even with my food truck, stuff like that, and I laid out a format to, with the help of ChatGPT, just laid out a format to get that going better. You know what I mean? And, so I can make a certain amount to, to help me, in my household, you know what I'm saying? So, and to keep and sustain my household. So yeah, I just think, like I said, in that sense, like we was all pulling together, you know what I'm saying? I think we could really benefit, you know what I'm saying? Even like, just like me speaking on my truck, I was pretty much like out here in Cedar Hill. I had something going to Crunch Fitness, but they shut that down because they said I didn't have a permit. But I have a permit with the county. This county of Dallas. Cedar Hill is in Dallas County. But Cedar Hill itself said that they want a permit. And they had to raise the issue. And then, that ended up going back to where, they wouldn't approve it because they wanted a permission for the landlord. The landlord had an issue saying that I wasn't able to operate. The landlord stays way in Arizona, but I'm here in Cedar Hill, been living in Cedar Hill. Actually been living in Cedar Hill since the 80s, but I got somebody in Arizona simply because and that's another issue with land ownership. Some people hoard. Like you have hoarders in houses, you got people that hoard. So you have people that stay out of state that so-called own this land, but I can't operate when people want what I have, my healthy food truck menu. You know what I'm saying? But just think in that sense, we was all operating together. Instead of somebody saying, no, I don't want you to, that's my land, that's my property, you can't be there. And instead of saying that and like, hey, the people want the product, they cool. You know what I'm saying? You ain't doing nothing to harm nobody, man. Do what you need to do and do the best you can at it. You know what I'm saying? As long as you doing that, I ain't got no problem. But that's just not the case. That's why I said it goes back to us. We pulling together, helping each other instead of being so divided. You know what I'm saying? I know some people gonna say, oh man, that don't relate to, society as a whole or whatever, but it does. Because in a sense, you have the vision. I own this. It's divided. You know what I mean? Well, then people go back to saying real estate and, it's ownership. You have, people have rights. You know what I'm saying? But in a sense, that was not the original way of the land anyway, before, and that's a whole nother story. Before it was colonized, the land belonged to nobody. The land belonged to the community. You know what I'm saying? So in a sense, that's why I say land ownership causes a problem because people hoard, and that's going to always be there. In hoarders, that's why I say it comes to the division. You know what I'm saying? Then it relates back to me with my, thing, what I'm trying to do, that division is causing me not to be able to serve the community when the community wants what I have. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, at the fitness, they want smoothies, they want acai bowls, they want salad wraps, they want teriyaki bowls, but I can't serve it because you got one person that so-called owns this land, this plot of land over here where the gym sit, say he don't want me there. So anyway, yeah, that's why I say, even in that sense, things of that nature, we're divided. You know what I'm saying? Even in that sense, over land, instead of saying, hey, yeah, the community want it, you allowed to operate. As long as you ain't harming nobody, stealing them, no robbing nobody, hey, do what your business is or whatever you're doing. Go ahead and do that, and do it to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? So, in that sense, that's why I said, man, it's like, this nation is divided. It was built on that. It's built on division, built on, labeling somebody, black and white, Mexican, Asian, you just got so many, divide, the ethnicities, instead of us saying, hey, we all together and we here to help each other. You got it. And I would say demonic. I'm going to say that, it's a demonic mindset. It's so much division. Instead of us pulling together, we want to say, oh, well, you ain't better than me or I'm better than you. You're a minority, I'm a majority. Like, it's craziness. And that relates to, even like I said, back to the administration, like Trump administration. It's created division. It's based on division. He got in there based on division, platform of division. The way he got in the White House or whatever, or so-called White House. You know what I'm saying? So, I would say that, man. It's just like we got to do better. You know what I'm saying? And, I just think that would help us just move forward as a people, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, come on, man. There's too much going on, and I really do wish that we would get that understanding. And like I said, even in the prior video, and that's related to us, being together as one. You know what I'm saying? You do have people here like our people, black people, that has suffered a great deal and have not been given reparations. You know what I'm saying? And I would say, like I said before, like, you have one group suffering, then that means that part of the nation is suffering. Instead of making that part of the nation whole so the whole nation can benefit and thrive, since you took care of the people that got harmed, like critically harmed, and you took care of them and you made part of that nation whole, the whole nation can be whole because that part was taken care of. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I would say that, man. And like I said, I'm going to continue to stand on that, yeah, we need reparations, so we can, make that wrong right, try to right that wrong, in that sense, so it can really be forgiven. And that wrong closure can be, actually brought to that wrong. We can gain a sense of closure, and move forward, So it's always going to be a stain, man, on this nation from that, because of that, because nothing has been done to provide reparations to the people that were harmed, and to move forward from that, So I think that will always be a stain, and we just it's no way to really move forward from it, because it's always going to be a stain. That memory, of that is going to be a stain on the nation, a stain in the memories of the people, that were harmed and the people that did the harming, because nobody can be absolved. It's just to say, oh, well, that wasn't my, I wasn't involved with that, or that was before me, that happened. No, but you benefited from that. You're in a group of people that benefited from that. Then no, you can't be absolved, because you benefited. You're still benefiting, from the crimes that was done, in slavery, to actually, implement slavery, to keep slavery going, and afterward to pretty much, try to enforce the chasm, enforce that chasm so that divide could still stay, in place, that system, that particular structure is still somewhat in place, so we're really still in place because they got, like I said, through 13th Amendment states, no involuntary servitude, except for the punishment of the crime, of a crime. So, I would say that, man, it's like, we can't keep being divided, as a nation and expect to get anywhere, or like I always say, God bless America. How God ain't not gonna bless America when America, is divided and full racism and hate and division. It's like, how can God bless that? God ain't gonna bless that. God blesses unity. God blesses things of a godly quality. You know what I'm saying? God's not gonna bless something that's demonic. You know what I'm saying? The foundation of the nation is based on basically a evil win-lose. And I said in the prior video, a win-lose system. Somebody got to lose for somebody to win. And it never has to be like that. It never should have been set up like that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody can have. Everybody can prosper. But when you have a scarcity mentality, you have a few people thinking that, for us to win, somebody got to lose, and actually creates a structure so that continues to stay in place. That's not godly. That's a scarcity mentality and a demonic mentality to even want something like that to exist, or really just in itself. Yes, that's demonic, man. You know what I'm saying? That's not a godly quality. God's not going to bless that. God blesses godly quality, godly things, things that can be blessed and that people are can be uplifted from and they can actually benefit from. Yeah. So, all of that, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, God blessing what? God blessing hate, God blessing racism, God blessing division. No, it's not God not blessing that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say I think like seriously. And I'm saying this in all seriousness, we do, and like I said, I'm very, I'm especially one of the ones that's hard up on the slavery issue, you know what I'm saying? But I know, what's done is done. I'm not like, hey, we need to get revenge. We need what we need to do is be one though. We need to be one and seek that. And but all at the same time, we need to take care of people like our people, take care of our people over here that were harmed, man, from slavery. We need to do that, so the nation, like I said, can be made whole. But I'm that's what I'm about. Say, man, let's operate as one, help each other instead of being divided. Shit, we can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? What you got Trump and his cronies, white people want to just, be the ones having everything. That's a selfish ass, childish mentality. Like seriously, this is mine and you can't have it. That's kind of like relate back to what I was saying about the landlord. Oh, that's mine and you can't have it. You can't be over there. When the community, want this, they need this. Trying to be healthy, want smoothies and stuff like that. Healthy salad wrap, teriyaki bowls, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you hoarding wealth and saying nobody else can't have it. So you and yours, your constituents can have it and nobody else can't have it. When it's plenty out here for everybody. And if everybody thrive, the whole nation thrive. That's what I'm talking about. Instead of being like, make sure that particular group is stays in this particular economic status. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Because we know about redlining. We know about banking institutions denying loans and home loans and just all type of stuff. I don't car loans really, even in that sense, but that's not really major or nothing like that. But yeah, home loans, you know what I'm saying? Redlining communities, getting black people to only be able to stay in a certain area, through the denial of home loans, bank loans to set up businesses and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, man, that's can't continue to go on. Now we need to see that, man, and people need to understand that. Like, hey, man, let's operate as one. Let's be one. Let's help each other. We all here to help each other. God put us here to help each other. And if we wasn't here, if it wasn't actually meant to be, we wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't meant to be where we come here, that's the basic premise or the basic purpose that we're all put here for, to help each other. You know what I'm saying? Even me making this video, it might help somebody. You know what I'm saying? In that basic sense, yeah, I'm on here, I'm talking about Trump and, stuff like that, but I'm relating a message. And that's about division, man. Stop being divided on certain things in this nation. You know what I'm saying? So we can move forward and benefit from that. Because everybody pulling together and helping each other, we can benefit from that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, I just want to get on here and say that real quick. No more division, man. Trump, you know, come on, bro. Like, you gotta chill, man. You and your constituents just shouldn't be like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole nation can benefit. We all come together as one, man. You know, for real. You know, take care of our people, man. Help, you know, our people, man. You know, we need, you know, what we need. We need reparations. You know, we need that, you know. We'll be able to take care of each other, help each other. You know what I'm saying? You know, help, like I said, help, you know, help the wrong that was done, you know, make that situation better. And then, like I said, you can make the whole nation whole from being able to take care of that situation right there, from making the people that were harmed whole. For real. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna get up out here. Just want to say that, man, I think we can. I really do. I think we can come together and you know, start seeing that and mature. And it's a level of maturity, you know, that we, you know, because the nation has to mature in that sense. You know, you have to think of it in a broad, you know, thing, a broad level of thinking, you know, because actually in the great scheme of things, like one dynasty lasted more than 400 years. This nation ain't been in existence, you know, but what, 400, 500 years? You want to say, I guess, what, maybe 600 at the most? So you had one dynasty in Kemet that lasted over 400 years, over the total extent of this nation, and you had like over 33 dynasties. So you got to think about that. The nation got to mature, you know, and get better. You know what I'm saying? We all together, our thinking has matured as a nation. We all got to get better, man. But that, I hope this message can make people understand, even those that may disagree with me, but understand how we can move forward, be one, and be whole, and be a whole nation, operating together and helping each other and being stronger. You know what I'm saying? Because we operate as one, instead of saying, no, you can't have this party, keep this group in this position, so they can't have as much as we have. It's not gonna work like that. It's not gonna work. Can't be strong like that. Being divided. Saying one group is being, you know, pretty much kept at a certain level, purposely, economically disadvantaged for another group to rise. It's just not a platform to thrive on. You know, or like I said, God gonna bless or be blessed, you know, blessing something like that. Or some platform that can be blessed like that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me get up out here. Just want to say that, you know, appreciate y'all checking out the video. I appreciate people, you know what I'm saying, commenting on the video, liking the videos. Like I said, I just want to get out here, provide a positive message, you know, something maybe like I said, may help somebody. Just seeing help, you know, in general, help our people, like, you know what I'm saying, over here, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, help my people, our people in this country, and just help us all, man, do better. But you know, hope this message can really provide some insight, man, and you know, something to make people think, you know, and we can move forward from it. But anyway, I'm gonna get up out of here. Hope y'all out there doing well. You know, living life full of love and happiness. You know what I'm saying? Just provide this message, man, and you know, whatever you're doing, you know, stay positive, man, and you know, keep moving forward. Whatever you're doing, keep moving forward. All right, y'all. To the next one. Love y'all. All right, y'all.
Fuck it, go ahead and blow off the dough. Step through the maze, man, and became amazing. About to rewrite history and change a page in a crooked book that never told us the true story. Like how we were kings and queens before the slave story, before the killing, stealing, and drug dealing on some real shit. We ran the world.